My grandfather, Robert Elijah Harlow, was not what you'd call a warm man. Stern, laconic, never one to laugh unless he'd had a bourbon or three. Still, he raised me after my parents' wreck in '98, and I owe most of who I am to him. When he died in June of this year, it felt like the last of my childhood was finally buried. We gathered at his old farmhouse in Vermont, the place that smelled of tobacco, old books, and damp wood, to hear the reading of his will. My uncles bickered quietly, my cousin Mallory kept checking her phone, and I just wanted it over with. The lawyer, a soft-voiced man named Mr. Langford, opened the manila envelope with the gravity of someone defusing a bomb. Then he pulled out a second envelope. Smaller. Older. This was left with explicit instructions to be handed only to his eldest grandson, Langford said, meeting my eyes. That would be you, Jack. The envelope was yellowed with age, sealed with a wax stamp that had smudged but unmistakably bore the family crest. I felt the room still as I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of thick paper. In my grandfather's steady cursive, it read: "Do not open the basement until August 3, 2025. No matter what happens. No matter what you hear." There was no explanation. No signature. Just that sentence. And I swear, for a moment, I heard something, a sound that didn't belong in a room full of living people. A soft knocking, from underneath the floor. I didn't sleep that night. Even after the will reading ended and the relatives dispersed like buzzards who hadn't found enough meat, I stayed in the house. Alone. The farmhouse had been passed down to me, along with the land, the debts, and, apparently, the secrets. I stared at the basement door for a long time. It was locked, as it always had been. Granddad used to tell me, "That door ain't for you, Jackie. Some things are better left in the dark." He wasn't a man prone to metaphor, so I'd assumed he was being literal. Old electrical wiring, maybe rats, asbestos, some grown-up hazard I wasn't meant to mess with. But now I was 33. And the door still unsettled me. I couldn't explain it, how the brass knob always felt cold, no matter the temperature. Or how the key that supposedly opened it was nowhere to be found, though Granddad had keys for everything else in the house, labeled and catalogued like museum pieces. I searched for hours. Attic, drawers, his desk. Nothing. Until I opened the old piano bench. Inside, under sheets of music so dusty I sneezed, I found a small velvet pouch. Inside the pouch was a single iron key. Not brass. Not modern. Iron. It was rough, hand-forged, old as sin. As I held it, I heard it again, that knocking. 3 slow taps. This time, it was unmistakably coming from the basement door. And then something knocked back from the other side. I didn't open the door. I wanted to. God knows I wanted to. My hand actually hovered over the knob for a few seconds, the iron key sweating in my palm. But the letter was clear. August 3, 2025. And it was only June. So instead, I backed away and locked the door tighter, wrapping a chain around the handle for good measure. I even hammered a few nails into the frame. It felt ridiculous, like trying to hold back a storm with duct tape, but I slept a little better that night, if you can call 3 hours of staring at the ceiling sleep. Then things got weird. The next morning, my phone started playing voicemails I'd never recorded. Old ones. Ones I remembered deleting. They were from Grandpa. All of them began the same way, static, then his voice, raspy, like he was whispering through sand. "Jack. Don't trust the man in the mirror. He's not you." Another one. "You left the piano bench open. It's watching now." And the worst one, which played around 3:17 a.m. while I was half asleep. "She's not your mother, Jack. You buried her. Remember?" That last one made my blood run cold, because I had. My mother died in that car crash. Open casket funeral. I'd seen her face. But the night after I heard that message, I woke up and found a note on my bedside table. In handwriting eerily similar to my mother's. It read, "Why'd you leave me down there?" Down where? The basement? I started sleeping with the lights on. Not because I was scared, at least, that's what I told myself, but because every time I closed my eyes in darkness, I saw her. My mother. Except, not how she looked when she was alive. This version had glassy eyes. Wet hair. Lips stitched shut with something that looked like fishing line. And always, behind her, that damn basement door. Open just a crack. It was always 3:17 when I woke up. No matter what time I went to sleep. That number started appearing everywhere, on receipts, on the microwave, on a grocery store price tag. Once, I looked at my wristwatch and all three hands were frozen at exactly 3:17, like time itself was staging some kind of intervention. I finally told someone. Mallory, my cousin, came by to check on the house, really, to see what she might inherit if I went off the deep end. But I needed someone to hear me, to maybe say, "Jack, it's grief. It's just your mind playing tricks." Instead, she went pale the second I showed her the key. She reached into her bag and pulled out something small, wrapped in cloth. Unfolded, it was a photograph. Black and white. Curled at the edges. It showed a boy standing at the basement door. "Where did you get this?" I asked. She looked at me, her voice flat. "Your mom gave it to me. A week before she died. She said if anything ever happened to her, I was supposed to give it to you." I studied the photo. The boy in front of the basement had no face. Just skin, smooth as an eggshell, stretched where features should have been. Mallory whispered something then. Something I'll never forget. "Jack, that's not your grandfather's basement. It's the one from your old house." And suddenly, I remembered. There was a basement door in that house. And I had been warned never to go near it. Because once, when I was 5, I had knocked on it. And something knocked back. I called Brianna. She was my childhood neighbor, practically family back then. We hadn't spoken in years, but if anyone remembered the house we lived in before the accident, it was her. She picked up after 2 rings. "Jack." Her voice was cautious, like she wasn't sure if she was hearing a ghost or dialing one. "I need to ask you something," I said. "Do you remember the basement? From the old house?" There was silence. Then a sharp inhale. "You mean the door?" A beat. My blood turned to slush. "You remember it?" "How could I not?" she said. "I used to have nightmares about it. I dreamed that it opened and your mom walked out, except she didn't have eyes. Just 2 black holes. And she'd scream your name until I woke up. I felt sick." Brianna kept talking. "Jack, do you remember that night? The one before the crash?" Bits came back to me. Screaming. My dad yelling. My mother dragging me out of bed, stuffing a backpack with crackers and Polaroids. Her hands were shaking. "We have to go," she had whispered. "We stayed too long." And then, headlights. Metal folding like paper. My next memory was a hospital ceiling. "Your mom wasn't crazy," Brianna said, voice cracking. She was scared. Of what was down there. I stared again at the iron key. It was warm now. Like it had a pulse. That night, I fell asleep on the couch with the photo Mallory gave me on my chest. I woke up to a creaking sound. Not from the basement. From the attic. A door I hadn't opened in years was swinging inward. And inside, standing at the top of the stairs, was a boy in old-timey clothes. Barefoot. Pale. Staring. No face. I didn't move. The boy stood just beyond the attic threshold, framed by shadow. He didn't step forward, didn't make a sound, but I could feel something radiating from him. A pressure. Like the air had thickened, like my lungs were being wrung out from the inside. I blinked, and he was gone. No footsteps, no fading presence. Just gone. The attic door still hung open, swaying slightly, as though someone had slipped through seconds before. I should have run. Instead, I climbed the stairs. Each step groaned under my weight, protesting every inch. The attic was colder than the rest of the house, unnaturally so. I could see my breath, coiling in the air. My flashlight flickered. Once. Twice. Then steadied. The attic was empty. Except for one thing. A rocking chair. And sitting in it was an old reel-to-reel recorder. One of those dusty things you only see in documentaries or creepy government footage. The reel was already turning. I pressed play. My grandfather's voice emerged, brittle and rasping. "If you're hearing this, Jack, it means you didn't open the basement early. Good. That means you still have time. But not much. They'll try to lure you. Through voices. Through memory. Through guilt. Especially your mother. But that's not your mother. It wears her face because it remembers you loved her. I trapped it once. Years ago. But something changed, it got stronger. On August 3rd, you'll open the door. You'll let it out. Because that's the only way to destroy it. And when it happens, you cannot let it speak." The tape hissed. "If it says your name, if it says your real name, you'll never come back." Then something else played on the reel. A sound that stopped my heart cold. It was the knocking. 3 slow taps. But this time, they weren't coming from the basement. They were coming from behind me. I spun around with the flashlight raised. Nothing. Just the attic stairs and shadows stretching longer than they should have. The knock had been real, I felt it in the floorboards, but the source had vanished. Again. I ran back down, heart battering my ribs. The whole house felt wrong. Like it was holding its breath. Like it was waiting. When I got to the living room, the photograph on the coffee table was gone. In its place was a new one. It was another black and white print, same age and curl. But this time, it showed a man in front of the basement door. Wearing my clothes. Same flannel. Same boots. But the face. The face was almost mine. Too smooth. Too symmetrical. Like someone had sculpted me from memory but forgotten what real skin looks like. It was smiling. The photo had a note scrawled on the back. "One of you has to go back." That night, my reflection stopped matching my movements. It started subtle. A blink delayed by half a second. A head tilt that didn't happen. But when I leaned forward to touch the mirror, my reflection stayed still. Dead still. Then it smiled. Not me smile. It smile. The mirror cracked. Just a hairline fracture, running down from the reflection's eye. I backed away, gasping. And then I heard the basement door unlock. On its own. The sound of the basement unlocking wasn't dramatic. No loud click or slam. It was quiet. Almost, gentle. Like the house had made a decision. I stared at the door. The chain I'd wrapped around the knob lay coiled on the floor like a shed snake skin. The nails I'd hammered were gone, pulled clean from the wood without a trace. The old iron key sat in the lock, turned halfway. And the door was ajar. Just enough to show a sliver of blackness beyond. Then I heard it. A voice. Faint. Familiar. Kind. "Jack. Baby, it's me." My mother's voice. Perfect. down to the soft Midwestern lilt she used when reading bedtime stories. My knees buckled. I hadn't heard it in over 2 decades. "You don't have to be scared anymore," she said. "I was trying to protect you. We all were." I reached toward the door, reflex, instinct, but froze just before my fingers touched it. Then she said it. "Remember when we made pancakes in your Spider-Man pajamas?" And I did. I'd been 5. I'd worn them for 3 days straight, syrup stains and all. She let me flip the pancakes with a spatula almost too heavy for me. But no one alive knew that. Not Mallory. Not Brianna. Not even Grandpa. Only her. "Please, Jack," she whispered, voice breaking. "It's so dark down here. So cold. Don't make me wait another year." My hand touched the knob. The door creaked open a fraction more. And then, a second voice. Rough. Male. Grandpa's. "That's not her, Jackie. Listen to me. That's not your mother." 2 voices now. One pleading. One warning. And the basement waiting like an open mouth. I stood at the threshold. The air pouring out of the basement was wrong. It wasn't cold like a cellar should be, it was humid. Breathing. It carried a smell I couldn't place at first, metallic and earthy, like blood-soaked soil. My hand gripped the knob. Tight. Too tight. The voices clashed. "Jack, I miss you. It's lying, boy. Shut the door." The sound twisted in my ears, layered over itself like warped tape. My mother's voice fractured, glitching mid-sentence, and something about the way it stuttered made me want to vomit. I screamed. Not in fear, in rage. I slammed the door. Shoved the key out. Rewrapped the chain. This time I nailed it shut with boards, bolts, screws. Anything I could find. My hands bled from hammering. But even after it was sealed, I heard it whispering. Not pleading anymore. Mocking. "You're just like him," it said. "He shut the door too. And he watched us eat your real mother." Then silence. I collapsed on the floor, soaked in sweat and splinters. And then the phone rang. Landline. The old one mounted in the kitchen. I hadn't heard it in years, hell, I didn't even know it was connected. I answered without thinking. "Jack Harlow," a deep voice asked. "Yes. This is the Department of Interior Records. We've just received a recent change in your family trust files. According to our documents, your grandfather never owned that farmhouse." I blinked. "What? That's impossible, he lived here." "Sir, the house has been unlisted since 1949. No ownership records. It's not on any of our maps. Technically, it doesn't exist." My blood ran cold. And then, before I could speak, the man added. "And you're not the first Jack Harlow to call about it. Today is August 3rd. I didn't sleep last night. I didn't eat. I just sat at the kitchen table, the letter in one hand, the iron key in the other. I read it again. And again. Looking for something I missed. But it still said the same thing. Do not open the basement until August 3rd, 2025. No matter what happens. No matter what you hear. No explanation. No salvation. Just a deadline. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the house started shaking. The light bulbs popped one by one. The mirror shattered. I heard every door in the house slam shut in unison, except the basement door, which stood impossibly still. Waiting. There was no more voice. No more whispering. Only pressure. Like the air was folding inward. So I opened it. The key turned easier than I expected, like it had been waiting to complete a circuit. The door swung wide on silent hinges. And there it was. Not a basement. Not a room. An abyss. Black. Endless. The air smelled like old copper and static and something worse, something ancient. The stairs didn't go down. They went in. Curving like a spiral drilled through the belly of the world. I took one step. Then two. And then I saw them. Dozens, no, hundreds, of people. All facing the walls. Whispering names in the dark. Some had no faces. Others had too many. Their mouths moved, but I heard nothing, like sound itself died in that space. Then I saw him. Sitting in a wooden chair, smiling. Me. Not a reflection. Not a ghost. Another Jack. Same face. Same scars. Same voice. Took you long enough, he said, standing. I reached for the key, but it was gone. This is how it goes, he said. Every time. One of us opens the door. One of us stays. One of us forgets. You opened it, Jack. He walked past me. Up the stairs. I tried to scream, but the sound stayed stuck in my throat, thick as tar. My body froze. The abyss reached up and pulled. As he disappeared through the doorway, he looked back one last time. And smiled. I'll take good care of her. The door closed behind him. And I was alone.